nothing to be afraid of. I think it's something to welcome, the change. You're not going to stop the change. Let's get together and make it work for all of us.
Maybe there's some Asians or Hispanics or other people. Maybe this is a concern that we need to explore further. And so let's hear about some other instances where either positive or negative, where you meet the police and how they react. So thank you so much for calling with your insight.
All right, thank you.
Okay.
Hello?
Hello. One of my concerns is that I don't think that the Milwaukee Police Department has a genuine concern for the black youth as a whole.
Okay.
Well, sure, I can't say that, all the police department just have this big thing about the black youth. My nephew, he was in the neighborhood on the north side, and with a couple of others, and I don't know if one of the kids in the group had an odd against one of the guys, and someone came up and they just had this shootout with these children, well, 17, 18-year-old boys. And a couple of these guys were shot in the leg and different things, and they expressed to the police officers that they knew who had done this shooting, and the police officers had expressed to them that they could not do anything. And I really don't think that it resulted in any arrest, or it could have been much worse than just a shot in the leg.
Okay. Now, did the teenage boys have guns or not?
No.
Or weapons?
None of the kids that were gathering, that were hanging out. There just was someone who came in the neighborhood in a car, and they just started shooting.
Okay.
I mean, there were children out there and everything.
Okay. I wonder if we're talking about a respect issue, that maybe if you're dressed in a certain way, or if you're a certain age group, that you're not given the respect of, say, of an older citizen.
Right, and I do think that I think it has something to do with that, as well as the children and how they respect the police. But I do think that they have to do some type of education and awareing these police officers. Our black ethnic group, it may be different from Hispanics and whites, and I do think that the Milwaukee Police Department, they have to be educated in how to handle not only just black teens or white teens, but how to address teens as a whole. And if they address teenagers with a certain dignity and a respect, possibly they would get a little further with dealing with them, and maybe it would cut down a lot of the shooting and that.
Okay, so that certainly raises...
Right now, at 7:30, there was 2,100 people were to repeal the taxes, and 600 were for the taxes.
Well, it's definitely going to be repealed. I mean, as I point out, it's just a case of unbridled arrogance. They think they can superimpose their will upon the people. They're completely out of touch with the voters. I mean, look at poor Mike Dukakis. He's going around, I mean, that poor guy is so completely out of touch with reality, he's going around still talking about the Massachusetts miracle. You know what he's saying now? He's saying that it's a revival of the Massachusetts miracle. I mean, I know.
He took over to the McCormick bill, and he wouldn't sign it in the State House. That's how ashamed he was of it.
Yeah, well, listen, I mean, that's what we're going to put up with. But it is important that the citizens recapture their government, and they're in the mood to do it. And the important thing is we'll gain from this. We'll get rid of the people that are in elective office that have betrayed you, that have betrayed the citizens on the local level, have betrayed the citizens on the state level.
Mr. Anderson knocks on my door and says, vote for me.
Holy mackerel. Take it easy. We had the whole building cave in on us on that question. Perfect.
We have an empowerment within the community, thereby allowing us to, to have and reach our own goals without any outside interference. Now, if he wants to call that segregation, then I suggested he look at the segregated communities surrounding Milwaukee. Then he can directly call that segregation. Okay?
Okay. Caller, you on the line.
Yeah, hello. Also, speaking of segregation, the caller that made a comment about what Michael McGee is doing is going to cause segregation here in the city. All this person have to do is walk on the south side of Milwaukee, and everything on the south side is segregation. That is hardly none of the food stores on the south side that even hire black employees. Okay, and there's a lot of black people that stay on the south side. I've been staying on the south side ever since July of 1988, and I have never seen Kohler's food store hire any black employees. I stay just 2 blocks from the store. I have never seen Cubs hiring any black employees. I have never seen none of the 2 Century stores on the south side hiring black employees. And I have never seen Piggly Wiggly hiring black employees at all. So you want to talk about segregation, this city is already like a part of South Africa already. And also, like when you walk downtown, about 98% of all the professional jobs downtown, okay, are given to white people.
So you're an advocate of the segregation?
No, I'm not an advocate of, I'm not an advocate. Yes, you're right. But I don't call it that though. I just call it, black people
uniting.
You're right, uniting.
Okay, so you're not advocating segregation. You're just talking about black people getting together and uniting within a community.
You're right.
Okay.
Because we have the financial power to do so. Okay.
We're going to show you an earlier interview that we had with the Wisbiskis, where he shows you a little bit more of what happened and what was taken and what the police report was about. Today's program is meant to do one thing if it does nothing else, and that's to get your participation, your response by phone. Here's the Wisbiskis story. Our phone number will come in periodically, and at the end of the interview, we'll ask you again to call us and let us know what you think.
I'm demonstrating some items here that the Waukesha County Sheriff's Department confiscated in a raid on our house on approximately January 7th of 1989. These items were displayed to various news media as a cache of weapons. The thing that they made a big deal out of was Captain Lenz had taken this, which is a water pistol. It can shoot water approximately 30 feet, and it's battery powered. The batteries aren't connected right now. As you can see, I'll show Carol how where we put the water in. It goes into this little container here and then fits into this little hose. Captain Lenz told the news media that this was an Uzi assault rifle. Here we have, this came with the set with that item I just showed you. It is a plastic water pistol. It takes batteries, and I don't even know how to put the water into here. And
we can see that it's not a regular cartridge. It's just a little hole for water.
And Captain Lenz said that this was an automatic pistol.
Plastic.
I bought this for $5 at the auction. My attorney has the receipt for it. Captain Lenz went and told the news media that this was stolen from the Brown County Sheriff's or Police Department. You can see here where they took a battering ram. It was approximately, I'd say the battering ram must have been almost 6 inches round, and I believe it took 4 men to bash this. This is also kind of cracked. We haven't done anything with it yet. It was caused by a 9mm slug. As you can see, they took a knife and they cut up this carpeting in order to remove the slug out of this hole in the floor.
How many bullets did the dog take?
The dog was shot 2 times.
And what happened to the dog?
After the dog had been shot 2 times, he then ran into the kitchen. The officers chased him around the table, And finally, he ran into my mother's bedroom and laid down apparently behind her bed. At that point, the officers simply closed the door of my mother's room and let the dog in there.
And then what happened? What ultimately happened to the dog?
The dog ultimately died as a result of the gunshot wounds.
Okay.
We have blood stains on the curtain here yet that are spattered from when he was left in this corner and locked into this room by the police.
And what are these marks over here?
Oh, this is from when Black, he used to like to look outside if he'd hear something, or if he saw another dog or something, he'd jump up here and look outside. That's from his claws.
And this was what kind of a dog?
German Shepherd.
Was this a guard dog?
He was just a house pet. He was not a trained guard dog.
You're free to scream, cry, speak whatever you like, for this is a safe haven. Go ahead, caller.
Yes, I feel very sorry for your group and for all groups involved in these tragedies, but you can't rewrite history. This perpetrator was a homosexual. The trial down in Racine is a homosexual. Obviously, his victims were homosexual for the great part, apparently most, if not all. Well, they were easy victims because your heterosexual community is not going to go to his rooms and pose for nude pictures. That's how he enticed them. Well, now, another comment that there's a great deal of rumor in town that the police chief had passed the word that he thought the police were being too hard on your community. He wanted them to take it easy. So now when they do take it easy, you all come back and lash out at the policeman. You can't have it both ways. Thank you,
Sir, we thank you for your call. In response to that caller's criticism of the police chief, I'd just like to say that if he did tell his officers to take it easy on the gays, they aren't taking it very easy on the ones I know.
Michael, could I, one of the issues that have been raised over the last week, and even before this killing, was the term that the media coined, or actually the medical examiner in Kenosha County, I believe, with the homosexual overkill. And I was wondering if anyone wanted to address that, the reaction to that media-hyped term.
The confusion with using the term homosexual overkill, that people seem to be confusing the perpetrator with the victim, and that it is actually gays who have been the victims, and the issue of whether the killer is gay or not is unimportant, because first and foremost he's a murderer. And I think when you're a murderer, that's the real issue. And as the gentleman before me indicated, serial killers tend to be white men, and studies have shown that, and most serial killers are heterosexual. So if you're going to start talking about sexuality in relation to killers, to me this might lead one to believe that all white heterosexual men should be watched because they might be serial killers. So I think what my concern is with this whole issue is that we as a community are really careful about how we talk about this tragedy, and really how we look at who were the victims and what their families and their friends have had to endure, and also that we as a community band together in this issue and realize that part of the reason why this guy wasn't stopped before is because his victims were gay, and because most of his victims were African American. And that combination for those poor guys was deadly.
Call number 2, you're on the air.
Yes, I don't condone what Jeffrey Dahmer did, but the Bible does say homosexuality is a sin. Okay, and people need to stop playing with God. God does not bless lesbianism or homosexuality. It's a sin. It's an abomination, okay?
Are you without sin, ma'am? Let he who is without sin cast the first stone. Do you have a rock in your hand?
How many of you here knew some of the victims? Would you like to talk about?
Well, I knew 4 victims. I wasn't very close with them, but what upset me the most is that 4 people have been missing for up to about 2 to 3 years, and I heard nothing of that. There was a young lady by the name of Merritt Beck who had been missing for a couple of months, and she was on the news constantly for 2 to 3 weeks, nonstop. There were 4 people who have been, there are up to 17 people who have been missing for up to 3 years, and I heard nothing of it. Absolutely nothing. And that really, really upsets me. And I just think it's a tragedy. I just think it's an awful shame. And another thing I want to say is I'm not blaming anyone, but I'm really kind of disappointed in the reaction that I'm getting from the black gay community. They seem to be somewhat nonchalant or somewhat not really being involved in the situation as much as possible.
To realize that we need to make a lot of changes, and that's really where our power base is our uniting and forming coalitions to make some changes in our community, particularly with the police department, but also in the way the media covers these events. And I think, you know, the person earlier who talked about the difference between how the Barrett Beck case was covered versus how some of these disappearances were covered when the families went in and asked the media for their help and didn't get it. You know, to me, that is really literally blatant racism and homophobia. That, you know, for instance, I was listening to some family and friends of Tony Hughes talk about this, and, you know, they did all the same kinds of things that Barrett Beck's family did. The difference was, you know, they didn't get front page coverage. They got page 12. And they had to beg for a picture when you could see Barrett Beck's picture all over Wisconsin. And why? Because she's blonde. And, you know, I think this is the kind of stuff that we in our culture have got in our society here, our American culture, have to begin to address, that these issues of racism and homophobia and classism that was mentioned earlier and sexism, they're all related to each other. And, you know, you're not going to get rid of one without the other.
Caller number 1.
Well, I just want to state that, well, homosexuality is a Western way of thought. If you were really, really African, if you believe in your black roots, and you would not fallen into this trap, believing in this Western way of thought.
What does that have to do with? What does that have to do with the tragedy?
Regardless of what you say, it is not African.
What does it have to do with the tragedy?
It has to do a lot with the tragedy. People have to stop being brainwashed and falling into these traps, hating themselves. People become homosexuals because they hate themselves.
I love myself, young man.
You know what you are, though? Do you know what you're?
Yes, I do.
About who's in charge here. I encourage you to think about trying it again.
And the son has a gun. How are you this week?
We're talking back. What do you want to do, George Bush? Yeah, let's really get this.
You know, before they turn up like
It's taking over the show. Isn't that true? Myself. Looking at myself.
yes, he must hear me. Very curious about humans.
Like thinking democracy, or just war theory.
I got in trouble and grounded.
And the police officers didn't think that they could not do anything.
It'll stand as a landmark of the collapsed economy of this area.
That betrayed the citizens on the state level.
They aren't taking it very easy on the ones I know.
And it's battery-powered economy.
I developed a whole other personality.
fragile world, right here.
This is the fragile world, exactly.
That's right. We're trying to take care of it now. We're going to put it actually in our truck, which is an amazing feat, and we're going to take it down and share it with the rest of the world.
Thank you very much. Well, from Sulphur Springs and around the world, right into your face, this is Dr. Doug.
All right. Hey, let's act locally, think globally.
Exactly.
Can we get the world up on this? It'd be great.
You need a hand with that?
I think so. Okay. Oh, whoa!
Whoa! I helped him do that. Here.
Want to do something really nice for your friends? Next time you go out with them, if they're going to be drinking alcohol, offer to be the designated driver for the evening. That means you stick to non-alcoholic drinks and drive everyone home safely. Next time, one of them can do the same thing for you. You could be saving them from being arrested or having a serious accident. You could even be saving their lives. Now that's what I call a friend. For more information on drinking and driving, write the Will Rogers Institute, White Plains, New York.
In an emergency, you don't have time to learn what to do and where to go. So be prepared before an emergency happens. Learn first aid and CPR. Put stickers on all your phones with the numbers of your local police, firefighters, paramedics, and poison information center. Find out where your nearest hospital emergency room is and know how to get there. For more information about preparing for emergencies, write the Will Rogers Institute, White Plains, New York.
Hi, welcome to Out and About, a lesbian talk show for and by lesbians in the Valley. We're here tonight. Who knows how many times we've been here? It doesn't really matter. I'm going to introduce my co-host, except I should introduce myself first. I'm Trina Hope, and this is Iris Bloom.
Hi, Trina.
Hi, how you doing?
Okay, have you had a good summer?
Yeah.
Yeah, and by the time this is aired, it'll be
winter,
yeah,
right? 1992.
Had a good fall, yeah. Well, I really am speechless about our guest tonight. I feel really that it's important what we can bring to the community by talking with Preston Horton this evening. Our guest tonight is someone who can bring a feeling of safety to us as lesbians. He is a police officer in Northampton, and I think that when we ask ourselves the questions as women and as lesbians, how can we feel safe, what makes us feel safe, often the people that make us feel safe, like the police officers or the ambulance or the hospitals and those people, we end up not, because of our being lesbians, don't necessarily feel safe. So I'm very excited to have Preston Horton here this evening to
Thank you.
make us feel safe. That's a tall order, isn't it? But
yeah, it sometimes gets quite overwhelming.
But one of the things that I wanted to ask you, the thing that being a police officer in Northampton, must have taken a tremendous amount of courage just to come out and to let people know that you were a gay man.
For about 1.5 years, I worked prior to coming out in April, and there's a lot of thought. I have a very close friend who I used to work ambulance with, Margaret, and she was my best friend. She was the person there for me that helped me decide in coming out, and I'm very proud of the fact that I did come out, and it's been interesting to say the least, you know.
Oh, I know Margaret.
You know Margaret?
Yeah, Margaret Brenneman.
Right.
Yeah, I know Margaret.
Margaret is awesome.
It's a small world.
Everybody has a personal hero, and she's mine.
What did she say that encouraged you to do it? Was there one key word or a theme or an idea?
No, I worked with her for a couple years on ambulance, and everything from day one. I had a crush on her when I first met her, you know? She was just everything. She was the first person I told that I was gay. And she helped me through everything. When I told my parents last fall, I ran right to Margaret. Had to give her a big hug, you know.
So she was the first person that you told that you were gay. So how long ago was that?
It was about 2.5 years ago. It was
And how
3
long?
years ago now. Time flies.
How long were you out to yourself before that?
Very end of high school, beginning of college. So, you know, beginning like 86, 87.
Submit your videos of 3 minutes or less to America's Most Revolutionary Home Videos, Television Free America, Continental Cablevision, 5 Niblick Road, Enfield, Connecticut.
Okay, I just wanted to ask you one more question. I'll let you get on your way, you know, so you can make some progress today. But I wanted to ask you about what the police said. I'm kind of curious because I live in this town.
I didn't question him because I'm not a citizen here.
Yeah, I am.
I'm just passing through. I've only been here a day or two.
Yeah.
But I've been trying to respect people.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm surprised they would have a little bit more respect for you. They didn't even ask your name or anything.
Well, some of them did.
Some did, yeah.
Asked me for my identification.
Yeah. You don't have to carry identification, do you?
Yeah.
Oh, you do?
I have photo identification, birth certificate, social security card, and touch-matic bank card that my SSI check go into direct deposit in the bank.
Oh, good.
Wherever I be, I go to the bank and get it out.
Oh, good. Yeah.
It's only $200, but it's like $1 million to me. I use it wisely.
Yeah, it can make it go a long way.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
And I donate blood plasma and do all kinds of things for people.
Yeah.
I would like to stick around here and cut some grass and
yeah, get some work here.
Clean some work, you know, around the neighborhood.
Yeah, I know what you mean, yeah.
But I'll have respect for the law, man.
Yeah.
I don't wish him no bad luck.
Yeah. All right.
Some are good and some are bad.
Yeah, they're all like that.
In all walks of life, you got good people and bad people.
Yeah.
Where are you from?
Me, I'm from Tonawanda.
Okay. Hang on, you're gonna get hurt. Push it up here. Before you fall, that car's going that way. Push it up here before you get hurt. I'm not gonna get hurt. I'm backing out so I can go around now. I can't walk down now, man.
Please don't videotape me, okay?
Why not?
I don't want to be videotaped.
It's not against the law.
I don't want to be videotaped.
Well, it's not against the law. I'm sorry.
I'm a complaint.
I'm witnessing this complaint. I'm witnessing the complaint, sir.
I don't want to be videotaped when I'm handling something.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm handling it. I'm from the 8mm News Collective.
If you have a problem with that, you can talk to the chief of police.
I don't have a problem
want to
with
be videotaped
I'm
when I'm
watching.
handling a complaint.
I'm witnessing this.
What is your name?
I can't go over there.
Jim Hartle.
Will you show me some ID, please?
Yes, sir.
Come on out of the street. I'll go over that bump.
No, you don't hand me your wallet. Show me your ID.
I'm going out of town, man. Where do you live? Everywhere I go. I have a forgiving thing. It's summertime. not one of them.
Oh, you know who I am. You recognize me.
No, I don't recognize you. You don't tell me who I recognize.
Well, you're in high school with me.
Pardon me?
You're in high school with me. You know who I am. You recognize
No, I don't.
me.
No, I don't.
All right.
Jim, will you come over and talk to me for a second, please?
For what?
I'd like to talk to you.
Well, I'd like to.
Oh, I'm conducting an investigation, and you're on city property.
Yeah, I know.
You come over here and talk to me, okay? I want to explain something to you, okay?
I'm doing a news.
I don't care what you're doing. Let me explain something, okay? If you draw a crowd here, you're going to be arrested. Do you understand that?
I don't understand what.
You don't understand that? We're disorderly conduct. All right? We're trying to move this gentleman along or find him a place to go. We don't need you making a spectacle out of it.
I'm not making a spectacle. I'm trying to see what's going on.
What do you mean, what's going on?
Yeah, exactly. What's going on?
You tell me what
you're
you mean.
handling this situation.
Oh, that's what you're trying to see?
Yeah, right. And what this guy's doing here.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
You know, you can follow the police around anytime you want. Take all the pictures you want.
I'm not following. I'm following this guy, not the police.
Yeah, hey, listen. Yeah, don't play games.
I'm not playing games. You're playing games with me. I have rights to take his picture.
Do you? Well, sure you do.
Yeah, this is
you got
public
rights to do a lot of things.
Right.
Right. And you know what you're going to do? You're going to end up getting yourself in a lot of trouble.
But what kind of trouble? I can't understand what you're talking about. This is news.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
That's news?
The man's homeless.
Huh? He's also homeless. But I think it's part of that demonstration, don't you?
No, I think we've talked to him earlier. We know he's not, okay?
No, it's a demonstration of homeless people.
And I think you're trying to play games.
I'm not trying to play games.
Yeah,
I think you're playing games with me. I
Police
think this
don't
is
like
really
to.
bad.
I don't like to be photographed when I'm handling
That
something.
doesn't matter.
It's very simple.
Well, that doesn't matter.
I don't want to be photographed
This
when
is
I'm handling
public.
something.
You know, this is the public.
Right, it is. And I'm a police officer.
You
and
handle
I
it
ask
correctly.
you
What are you worried about?
Right. I'm just asking you not to photograph me, all right? When I'm
I
handling
know, but I won't. I won't stop.
How long did you...
Went to the outside of the State House where they set up a picket line, and others in our group went inside to conduct civil resistance action.
And then we got the press. People started listening to us possibly for the first time.
At 12:20, when they shut the lights out in the State House, this camera doesn't have a light attachment with it. And we were mainly relying on one of the guys there that was from Channel 9, I believe it was, to use his light in order for me to be able to get pictures.
Are you with the press or not?
One of the state troopers then approached me as I was filming and asked for me to leave. He asked me if I was with the press, and I told him that I wasn't, and he put me out.
It's not anybody's business. You're not going to tell us what's going to happen. No, you. It is time to leave. Thank you.
What the shit is that?
Don't get horsey with us, sir.
Yeah, you just
time to leave.
Say how you treat the press?
Time to leave, sir. You have to leave. You have to run on the sidewalk. You have to run on the sidewalk, okay?
Wait,
Thanks
we
a lot.
all go out on the sidewalk. You hear them? These people are going to be in here with
Out on
no
the
protection
sidewalk.
and nobody watching them.
Out on the sidewalk.
You reporters have a responsibility to film this.
That's right. Out on the
You
sidewalk.
reporters have to watch what's going on. You can't tell what's going on in there. The lights are off.
You'll be arrested, sir, if you refuse to leave. I can accomplish that.
Under the First Amendment of the United States, you're going to sit
I will arrest you, sir,
with
if you do not leave.
with the record of what's been going on all over the country.
Our record is fine, sir. I have 5 highway patrol here. There's not going to be any harm to me.
Lights on.
But you're leaving. I want you to understand.
Remember, I'm going out under protest under the First Amendment. These people want to hide what they are going to do to people in this building.
Turn the lights on.
They have turned off the lights. They have turned off the First Amendment. They've got people in here. It is dark, and they're kicking the press out. They're kicking, and this man is responsible for cutting out the First Amendment right here.
This is the way that the legislation and the State House does business in the dark.